It started as just an ordinary day in class. Same stupid students, same stupid textbooks, same gym stink from the class before. The first difference was the substitute teacher. She rolled into the classroom like a miniature tank, all of 5 feet tall and with glasses almost wide enough to snag on the door frames. A bag clutched under one arm had the shine of an alligator, and her shoes matched, oily green and squeaking annoyingly with every step she took. Down went her bag, then up came her head, containing a prim little smile of ancient lipstick and polished dentures. Off came her hat, a shapeless purple thing with a floppy felt flower on it. Then she creaked over to the whiteboard and started writing. "My name is Mrs. Hawkrit, and you will pay attention," she squawked. The last word so loud and shrill that the kid in front of me smashed his knees into his desk in fright. Some of us giggled, while some stared with the cynicism of youth. But Mrs. Hawkrit had indeed got everyone's attention. "I want you all to copy what I put up on the board exactly," she shrieked, the final word drilling into our collective skulls like a diamond drill bit. "Anything to make you shut up," snarked the boy near the front. Mrs. Hawkrit didn't react, except to start writing on the huge whiteboard, the marker squealing horribly as she started making geometric lines. The class started copying, under her shrewd brown gaze, her voice lashing out at anyone not complying with her demands. The sharp shrillness so acutely pitched that it bordered on physical discomfort. What she drew on the board didn't seem to be related to any particular lesson we'd been learning recently. Instead, it looked like a weird diagram. It spiraled out like a mandala, but squiggled and scribbled in places that made my eyes uncomfortable. I thought it would be difficult to copy it, but as each line scratched across the page, the more natural the design seemed to become. I'd seen this somewhere before, maybe, but I couldn't tell you where. And as I copied the almost Aztec-looking arrangement on the board, a pleasant feeling began to creep across my scalp, like the precursor to an orgasm. All the while, Mrs. Hawkrit watched us, walking up and down the rows of desks, pushing hands that drifted back into position. We all copied dutifully, blindly, none of us thinking how odd it was that this weird little woman had simply walked into a classroom full of unruly teens and completely dominated us into doing what she wanted. I mean, no teacher had ever done that. My pen stuttered on the page, then ground to a halt, empty of ink. Perturbed, my autopilot brain tried to continue, but somehow, with the loss of ink, the spell of Mrs. Hawkrit had broken. It hit me then, how utterly, bizarrely compliant everyone had become. Nobody spoke, nobody moved, except to continue copying the thing on the whiteboard. As the gaze of Hawkrit swept over me, I renewed the motions of my pen, pretending to draw. Satisfied, she paced back to the board and placed one hand in the middle of her elaborate design, muttering. It started as a low hum of barely audible noises. Then it rose to a chant, the voices of the other students murmuring along with the tiny woman at the front of the room. At first I thought she was pushing the board with her hand and deforming it. But then I realized the design was moving, that it was slowly beginning to rotate around her fingers, which of course was absolutely impossible. The chanting became moaning, and the design began to spin faster. One by one, the students took their completed pages and handed them to Hawkrit, whose smile grew less and less prim, and more satisfied. A hole was forming in the center of her creation, a jet well of nothing, growing larger and larger as she fed the pages into it. As I stared in paralyzed fascination, not believing any of this was real, I realized that I was the only student not to have left my desk. "Come along!" the creature shrieked, her hands muttering with mad anticipation. The other students advanced as I sat, unmoving, their fingers moving in a terrifying parody of the insane woman who had taken over the will of an entire classroom. "Get away!" I yelled, as the first hands grabbed me, pulled me. My empty pen stabbed through the cheek of a dead-eyed girl, then pulled free with a sucking sound. As the blood welled, then splattered across my half-drawn design, something snapped in the air of the suddenly claustrophobic room. Hawkrit moaned, clutching her own cheek. The hole in the board ceased to grow, the rotation of the unholy drawing instead reversing direction. Students stumbled listlessly, confusion wearing with reason. Two collapsed, and another screamed, pounding his head with both his fists. At the front of the room, the board bulged, the darkness reaching out, snaring the shaking hands of the evil old woman. Her piercing cry sent everyone to their knees, clutching their ears. Then, as I stared at the whiteboard, yelling incoherently in pain, Mrs. Hawkrit was pulled inside, whereupon the whole thing collapsed in on itself, taking the woman, her hat, her bag, and her drawing with it. The only thing that remained was the half-drawn design on my desk, spotted with blood. As the students clambered back into their chairs, searching wildly for the source of the sound that had shocked them back to reality, I stuffed the drawing into my bag, along with a blood-stained pen. "Must have been the fire alarm," one said. "Yeah," said another, unconvinced but unable to explain it any other way. But I saw it all. I know what happened. And now you do too. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me what you thought of this narration. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, and much more, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these narrations possible. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.